Barakatuhu. Dear listeners, you are tuned in to Ramadan FM 2018 and you're watching Students of Knowledge. Today with me I have Sister Aisha, Sister Noor and Sister Khadija. Assalamu alaikum guys.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you all?
Alhamdulillah, we're good. How are you?
I'm okay, alhamdulillah. Very nervous because I've never hosted before, so
Inshallah,
don't worry,
you'll
you'll
be
be
fine.
fine.
How's Ramadan going?
Alhamdulillah, it's going fine.
Yeah, it's halfway through Ramadan. We didn't even realize
That's
it's
true.
going so
Yeah.
fast.
I think we're gonna miss it.
Yeah.
I remember the initial days they were going very slow, but now it's speeding up.
Yes.
Anyways, without further ado, I think let's get into the topic for today. We will be discussing parents, and when we were sitting down and deciding what title to give it, we basically came up with how do the words of my mum and dad affect me. But of course, we'll be going in detail overall and just discussing it in general.
Yeah.
So the first question, I think, or the fundamental question is that why do you guys think it's important to talk about parents? Why is it that we are sitting here and even discussing it in the first place?
I think it's important to talk about parents because especially youth today, they don't mention their parents as much as we actually should, because we should be grateful to them for all that they've done. And I think it's really important to talk about parents because then other people can share their views on it as well.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we take for granted on day-to-day,
Definitely.
like day-to-day basis as well. And alhamdulillah, I think we all do have parents, and so they all
Alhamdulillah.
do have an influence and impact on us.
Yeah.
I guess it's just to make other people realize that, parents are special. We have them, take them,
Yeah. Definitely.
cherish them
Yeah.
for the amount of time you have them.
Yeah, and I also think that, considering that we are in the 21st century, it's a very digital and technologically advanced world. So a lot of the times, I think we do forget about them. And not only parents, I think just even relations, general relations, we sort of forget about them. So it's really important. And I think one of the most important relations is, of course, to do with your parents. So it's definitely important to talk about them. So do you guys think that your parents have an impact on you? In any way, shape or form? Do they influence us in any way? What do you guys think?
Actually, I think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows the influence of parents on a child through examples and through stories and events in the Quran. And two main examples which I wanted to talk about was the first example, which is about Ibrahim alayhi salam, and how you see him growing up surrounded by idols, and how his father, how you see this.
Sorry, sister, if you could speak a little bit louder, please.
You see this, so the first example is about Ibrahim alayhi salam, and you see how he doesn't have this very positive parental guidance, yet you see this, how it has this amazing product and how it has this amazing influence, and how some people think that the main Islamic belief which we have is of Tawheed they consider the root and the starting point of it to be from Ibrahim alayhi salam. So you see the influence that the impact of the parents, and how that doesn't really, how the product of that was still yet so amazing. And the second example which I wanted to talk about was, in contrast to this, you have the second example of the case of Yaqub alayhi salam, and how he had it's considered that he was this well, without a doubt it's considered that he was this great father. Firstly, because he was a prophet, and prophets are known for treating their children in a fair and equal manner. So the way in which he taught Yusuf alayhi salam, he would have taught his other children. But you still see this divide. You see how his children, half of them, some of them were good, and how some of them were bad. So you see how, and some people would actually argue that it was because he didn't give advice to those other children just as much as he gave to Yusuf alayhi salam. But if you actually study Surah Yusuf carefully, you actually see Yaqub alayhi salam giving advice to those other siblings, those other children of his as well. But you see that in turn, some of the children, Yusuf alayhi salam, you see how he was this great amazing prophet as well. In opposed to this, you see how he also, the same way in which he brought out Yusuf alayhi salam, those other children had a different impact. So your question about how if parents do have an impact on you, they do to some extent, but that impact can go either way. It can be positive and negative.
Yeah, I think you raised a really important point, and with a very good story as well. I think the story of Hazrat Yusuf is very inspirational. And in regards to, I think, parents, I think we can all learn something from it. So thank you for sharing that. Sister Noor and Aisha, do you think parents have an impact on us?
I strongly agree that parents do have an impact on us, because if we think about it, parents are our first teachers, and we learn from them. They are our role models. We follow them in everything they do. Every little action, we pick up on it as we're children, because obviously when we're children, we don't have much understanding of anything ourselves. They teach us how to walk, talk, eat, manners and etiquettes, and I think they have a really big impact, and I think they shape our future.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. And along with the social help that they give, I think genetically as well, we're very similar to them. So they do, certain actions that perhaps they do will be present in us as well. So to enhance your argument, I would definitely agree as well, because they do have an impact both genetically and also, with the nature and nurture debate, they are present in both of them. And what about you, Sister Aisha?
Yeah, I again agree with both of them. Obviously, they can go good or bad. So your parents do have a really big impact on you, because you grow up with them. Well, some kids don't exactly have that
Privilege.
But the kids that are special enough to have that relationship with their parents, they grow up with their parents. So obviously, everything their parents do, like for example, Ilham Mastab gave me this example where if a kid is born in Pakistan, and if another kid is born in England, obviously the kid born in Pakistan is going to learn Urdu, because everyone around him is going to be speaking Urdu, so he's going to be born with the Urdu language, and the person living in England is obviously going to grow up with the English language. So that way your parents have if the people around you can have an impact on what language you speak, your parents can have the impact on how you act. Because they can, obviously everything they do is obviously going to rub off onto you, and you're going to learn from them, because they're always going to be around you most of the time, right?
Definitely. I think that's a really
point,
good
mashallah.
Alama Sab, thank you for that point. I agree with all of your points, mashallah, and I think that yes, they do definitely have an impact, and no matter what your relationship is with them, because you have been brought up with them, but I mean everyone's circumstance is different, but we're talking about a normal situation here. If you have been brought up with them, they are going to have an impact on your life, and how they influence us is my next question. So I know obviously with your mum and your dad, they will influence us in separate ways. So how do you guys think that both of them do it, and how do you think that, what are their roles separately for us, and what do you guys think is the importance of it?
Actually, in the morning, I just remember looking at my dad when we were all little, he gave us this little, it was like a diary, and it had like a chart on it saying all the namazes. It had like Fajr, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and then it had all the days of the week. And it was like a little checklist, and it was like just because we're little and like it's a little bit of fun and everything, just to have a checklist and everything. And my dad like made that, and he just gave it to all of the children, and it was just like a fun way of just encouraging a child to pray as well. So every time you prayed, you just put a tick in that box, and if you didn't, it's also you reflecting on if you've prayed or not. And I think that had a massive influence on all of our siblings, because it was a way for us as individuals to monitor our praying as well, and in turn it made it easier for us when you grow up to definitely pray and stuff. So just these small little actions and doing it in these subtle ways has this impact in a much wider picture.
I think our parents, the way they teach us is in a very beautiful way. I think we have a caller, so we shall continue our discussion later. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Who am I speaking to?
This is Azka from London.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Azka. How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you, sisters?
We're okay, alhamdulillah.
I wanted to say that you guys are doing an amazing job. All of you are doing such a good job. You are so confident. All of you are so confident. It's so nice to see how...
We weren't confident 5 minutes before the show.
You should have seen us before the show.
All of you are so young. Well, we can't tell. Nobody can. The audience can't tell that you're nervous. So that's great. That means you're really, really good. You're all making like really good points. Aisha's example was really good in terms of the language that she just used.
Thank you.
It was so easy and relatable. So yeah, that was really good, Aisha. Well done.
Jazakallah.
And yes, I haven't heard Noor speak yet, so I can't say anything. However, yeah, but overall, I think the impression, you guys are setting an impression and putting us under pressure as well, because we've got a show coming up as well. So yeah.
No, we're learning from you, Baji.
Yes.
Anyway, I have a question. Anybody can answer. It's not directed towards anyone.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times we see that we talk about the rights of the parents. So the kids have to treat them nicely, which is obviously important. I'm not denying that in any way. However, we don't talk about the other side as much as we talk about the rights of the parents. So if you could just touch upon that side as well.
Yep, definitely we will. I have noted down your question, so we will be discussing it. Thank you so much for calling in, and stay tuned.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa
Assalamu
rahmatullahi
alaikum. Jazakallah for calling in.
Thank you. Alright, I think that was a very thoughtful question. So she was basically. Should we answer her question before continuing our discussion?
Yeah.
Can you say the question because my headphones weren't working?
Sure. So she was basically talking about, how most of the times we do discuss parents and their rights and their importance in our lives, but how are the rights of the children, significant, and what role do they have? So since you have asked me the question, Sister Noor, what would you like to say about that?
Well, the rights of the children. I think children, likewise, like how parents have the right to be treated well, I think children obviously have the right to be treated with love and affection mostly, because I'm just going to link it back to how you, influence the child.
Yeah.
We children, like, coming from experience, we need love and affection more than criticism for our parents.
Yeah.
Criticism is important, but when we have that love and affection, we create a bond with our parents, and that bond is really strong. And with that bond, the parents can make the child understand anything. And I think it's really important, because then the child will look up to their parents and start to listen to how their parents what they say, and start doing amal on what they say.
Exactly.
I think one example that just comes to mind when you say about the rights of a child as well is how you see your parents have this. Well, it's considered that your parent wants everything best for you. And the first example that comes to mind is normally when marriage, and how they bring the rishta and everything. But in Islam, it also gives the right for the child to refuse that if he or she wishes to. So it just shows how there's a balance. So the parent wishes for the child to do this, but the child also has the choice to refuse it, because it's their life which it has an influence on. So
Yeah, I think that's a really good point once again that you raised, Sister Khadija. Because obviously, with the rights of the children, of course, most of the times, I mean, it does again depend on the situation, but most of the times it is, unconditional love from the parents that we get, and whatever they decide or, choose for us, it's for our benefit, even though temporarily we may not agree with it. But as you've said, we do have the right. Islam has given us the right. The law has given us that right. So, of course, I think the rights of the children are very important as well. Sister Aisha, what would you like to say?
I agree with Sister Noor's thing about if your parents are always criticizing you and giving you less,
Self-esteem.
motivation and more criticize. It's sort of going to make the child drift away from their parents a bit, because they're always going to think that, she keeps criticizing, or he or she keeps criticizing me. You're not even going to like them, have that bond between you and your parents anymore. Because obviously if they keep criticizing you, you're going to go further away from them. That they keep criticizing me, they're not even helping me through my rough times and stuff. So if parents maybe give more motivation and a little bit less criticize, if you want to criticize someone, if you say that I don't know, you could say anything you need to drink
You
more
can
water.
criticize Sister Noor, it's fine.
No, but they would say anything you have a lot of spots on your face, you need to drink more water and stuff. It would be more nice if they would be more you know, when you grow up, you obviously want to look really nice and you want to look pretty. And I
There's
think
a way
maybe you
to
should just,
present,
like, just say it in a nice way to make the kid want to do it without just being like, oh my god, you need to drink water, look at all the spots on your face and stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not directing this to my parents.
It's just an example.
No, that's a really good point, and I agree. So, you know, I think what I've understood from what you were saying is that the way you influence your children, the way you criticize or encourage them really matters. And I agree because, you know, whatever we are today, you know, whatever our personalities are as well, like I'm sure you guys can relate to, is, you know, we are the product of our parents and the way they've nurtured us. Whatever, the way we think, the way we act, the way we behave, everything, although not fully, but mostly it relates back to what we've seen them doing and what they've taught us. Because from day one we have been with them, so our mentality has been, you know, heavily influenced by them. So the next question I have is a very interesting question, because when I was writing it up, I was thinking about my own parents and the way they've, you know, dealt with us siblings. But the question is, do we need strict parents?
I think I agree to that, partially agree to some extent, because you always need strict parents, but you need that balance between strictness and like, you need that balance between the two, and you need, just like Sister Aisha was saying, you need them to encourage you, and it's the manner in which they say. So I think parents being strict, they do it out of their own, the reasoning behind it is all good. They all want to protect the child. So even if they like tell off the child, if they scold the child, it's all behind, there's a reason behind it, and it's because they want to teach the child for the future. But I think the way and the manner in which that they should teach the child, it should be more in a soft tone, teach them nicely. Like I remember, so I keep relating to personal experiences, but I also remember my dad, like I can't remember even a single time when he ever shouted. And I think that was better, because when we did do something wrong, no matter how small it was, he just gave that face, like you're in trouble. And you knew,
that death stare, it really works. It really does work.
But it wasn't even a death stare, it was more like, you know, you're in trouble, just don't do that. I think that worked better than someone shouting at you, because you know what I'm doing is wrong, but you don't feel put down like, oh my god, why did that person shout at me? I don't want to listen to that person now. In fact,
you feel guilty yourself because you know, they haven't said anything to you. Personally, I always feel that if I've done something wrong, I like being shouted at, or I like, you know, being punished for it, because I feel less guilty about it. So I always tell, you know, my parents as well, that if I do something wrong, just tell me off and tell me that I've done it wrong, because if they don't say anything, that means that they've forgiven me, and I feel so guilty because I was wrong, and you know, they've become the better person.
You don't learn from your mistakes.
Exactly. That's true. Sister Noor?
I want to relate it to my personal experience. This is not showing strictness, but obviously when you're a child, I think it makes strict. So basically, when I used to be small, and every time there used to be like an ice cream van outside my house, I always used to be like to my mum, by the way, this is when I was 3 years old, don't get me wrong. I always used to say to my mum, I want to go get an ice cream from the ice cream van. My mum used to be like, no, you cannot get it because we have ice cream at home. It's fazul kharchi and stuff like that. And I used to cry. I used to like, you know, have a tantrum like, no, I want the ice cream. But my mum was strict that time. My mum was like, no, you can't. And when I was small, I used to be like, oh, why she's doing this? Why is she doing this to me? Like, you know, she's my mum. It's her job to get me ice cream or something like that. But as I grow up now, it's taught me not to, obviously, it's taught me the good side. It's taught me not to, you know, waste money on things that you already have at home. And I think it is important to have strict parents, because the small things can teach you so much in life. When you're older, you remember yourself that, oh, when I was small, my mum used to tell me not to do this. And, you know, you're just grateful for that experience.
Yeah. I agree. I think even with me, as you guys are sharing your personal experiences, with me, so like, I think, for me, I don't know if my siblings will disagree, but I personally feel that if there's an issue, and you know, I feel more scared from my dad, so I'll go to my mum. And that's because, you know, I think having the fear from your parents, either your mum or your dad, is really important, because you remember your boundaries, and because of course we are human, and you know, we are kids, so we are going to make mistakes. But if you have, you know, that element of fear in you, then you're more likely to be, you know, you're more likely to not do it, basically.
Yeah.
So I think so when I do something wrong, I'm like, Mama, if you could help me out here. And then I will go to my dad through her. So I think it's really important to have strict parents. And what about you, Sister Aisha?
I think that your parents should only be strict in certain circumstances.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if it's just a little thing that, you know, every kid does, they shouldn't go straight like mum mode and start being really rude to you and shouting at you. Because that's, if your parents are really, really strict to you in a really young age, it has a good impact and a bad impact. The bad impact is that you sort of drift away from your parents, like, this person always shouts at me, I don't really like her anymore, and you'll start going away to other people and liking them more.
Yeah.
And it'll sort of like ruin the bond between you and your parents. And the good impact is when you grow up, obviously those things will still stay in your head, that, oh, my mom's been telling me since I was born, like, not to do this, so I probably shouldn't be doing this. And then it'll kind of make you stop. And in my own experience, I'm also going to talk about my own experiences, because I think this question is just about talking about your own things. Basically, whenever I used to get in trouble when I was young, I would always go up to my dad, because since I was young, my dad's always been the one, like, if I ever did anything bad, anything naughty or something like that, then I would just be like standing there and he would just look at me, and then he would come up to me, then he would like sort of encourage me. He would be like, if you do this, then this will happen to you in your future, and you want to be a good person in the future, don't you? And he would sort of like say nicely. With my mum, she was a little bit more on the shouty side, so she would like shout at me a lot. But like, that's not
if your mum's watching the show,
we can all relate to that.
that's not really a bad thing though, because I remember obviously now that I've grown up, me and my mum have a really closer bond against each other, because when I was young, I always be like, that woman is always rude to me, I don't like her and stuff. But now, like, I'm like, oh, she's my mum, she knows what she's doing, she's obviously kind, and now she's kind of like, she knows that I'm doing the right thing, so she stops, like, you know, she's gone a little bit more closer to me. So it's good to have strict parents, because then when you grow up, you'll get a closer bond to your parents, because you know that this person knows what's right for you, because since your entire childhood you've been doing good things and you haven't really gone into a bad thing yet. And but I think when you're young, your parents shouldn't always shout at you at everything, because like my dad, whenever I used to do a bad thing, I used to go up to him and he used to encourage me, obviously. And that's sort of, now that I've grown up, I always listen. Like, I 100%, everything my dad says to me, I always listen to it, because I know that he's nice and he knows what he's doing. No, because, it just makes you listen to that parent more. Like, there's a lot of families where, like, the parents were really strict, so the kid's just gone, like, you know, completely wild. It's like, they've kind of gone completely wild. I've met a lot of families like that. And I think it may be because the parents were far too strict. So if you have a nice bond between your parents and you love them a lot, and they're nice to you, but not all the time, obviously, but, you know, they have boundaries as well, then it creates a nice bond, and you won't like have any more arguments between. And when you grow up, you're going to be really close to them, and you're not going to want to do anything against them.
Exactly. And I think once you do grow up, there are many things that you want to share with your parents, you know, whether that's to do with your school life or just generally, you know, you want to share. If you don't have that comfortable bond with them because, you know, they've been too strict, or you haven't been able to develop that friendship between you and your parent, then you're gonna struggle yourself as well. So I think as young individuals, as young teenagers, I think it's important that we discuss this here and, you know, comment on the fact that although strictness is needed to a certain point, parents need to be, you know, able to balance it out with affection at the same time. I mean, alhamdulillah, we're very lucky that our parents do it very well. But
I also think Aisha talked about a really good point. She talked about how she touched upon this point about how parents should explain to their children and so that the child understands what they have done wrong, instead of actually shouting at the child. Because the shouting at the child, that does sometimes work. It acts like a deterrent. It prevents the child from doing it again, because it creates that fear in them. But I think actually explaining to the child what they have done wrong and why it is wrong, I think that has a bigger impact on the child, because that's going to stick with you for life. You're going to understand the reasoning behind it. But that doesn't completely mean that it's wrong to shout at a child as well. Because I know from, like, I have several siblings, and I know one of my siblings learns better if you shout at them, because it just creates that fear in the child. Whereas my other sister, like, if you went to her and you explained to her what she has done wrong, she might understand better. So it's the difference between the child as well. And I think the way in which you teach a child what he or she has done wrong.
Exactly. And I think
on the child.
Parents do understand each of their child, and the way that they are. So personally for me, so there's 4 of us, and I think all of us learn differently, like the way we think. And although obviously we're very similar, our parents, I think they know how we are, and if they want us to do something for them, they know how to ask us, and they know how we are going to listen to them. So I think having that tactic as well it really does
I think
work.
with me the shouting works a bit more.
Does it?
Yeah, but with my brother I think we have to like calm him down and tell him what's wrong. But I also think, I just want to add, I also think it's important to have one parent that's really like strict, and then one parent that's a bit not on the strict side. Because personally with me, I would, if I want something, say if I want to go out with my friends, I'd go to my dad. I would tell him, can you convince my mum? And then he would be like, no, you just ask your mum. But then I would have that fear, like my mum's gonna say no anyways, you know what, just leave it. So it just stops me, by itself, it just stops me from asking. So it works.
It really does work, and I think parents are very smart. They know their tactics. In a good way. In a good way.
They always know what's right for you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of annoying because they'll literally be like, oh, you're gonna fall, and then you fall.
This is so true.
It really does work. Like sorry, we're going off topic here. I mean, we are still talking about parents, but when you lose something and you can't find it, so dad will be like,
that's the most annoying.
go find my watch, and you'll be like, okay, I'll go upstairs, look for it. You've looked everywhere in the room, it's not there. He'll come and it'll
just
be right
open
there.
one drawer and it's right in front of you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's so annoying.
All right, so the next question is, do you think we would have different personalities if we had different parents? Which I think does, again, relate to the influence of your parents. And I think it also comes down to individual differences and what your parents are like and what the child is like also.
Yeah. Actually, I do agree with that, because because we as humans, we are known for having multiple personalities. Like, for example, I act differently. We would act differently around our friends. Then we would act differently around our siblings. We act differently around our parents, and we would act differently around your teachers. So if you can act differently around different groups of people, then of course you can change your personality depending on your parents as well. So I think that does play. Your parents do play a major role in how you and your personality is as well. Definitely. It's just these small things that make them have impact.
I agree with it too. I think your personality adapts to your parents' personality, because obviously you pick up on the small things they do. I know by myself that I'm like my mum. Like, I love my daddy so, but you have that bond with your mother. So my personality is exactly the same as my mum's, and how she speaks to other people, I speak like that to them. I always feel like I should be in a positive mood, because my mum, from when I was small, she was always in a positive mood. She's never looked down on anything. She's never seen the negative aspect of things. Like they say, the glass is always half full. So she's always had that positive attitude. So I think I've picked up on that.
Mashallah, your mum is very positive. We have a call, so Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm Aisha.
Wa alaikum assalam, Aisha.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you, Sister Aisha?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. I just wanted to say that you guys are doing a really good job. And considering that all of you are so young and you are talking about this topic so intelligently, it's really amazing, mashallah.
Jazakallah.
And I just wanted to ask a question as well, so you can discuss it later or now, whenever you want. So the question is, how you were just discussing how obviously the impact of parents is quite strong, right? So on all of us, and we're really affected majorly by that. So is it possible to overcome that effect that parents have on you? So for example, let's say someone has been affected in a wrong way. So their parents maybe were not as responsible as they should have been, and they've affected them in a wrong way. Is it possible to overcome that effect?
That's a very good question. Thank you so much for your call, Sister Aisha. We will answer it, so stay tuned with us. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
All right, Sister Noor, did you hear the question?
A little bit.
All right, so I think the main argument that Sister Aisha was trying to make on the call was that in certain situations your parents may not be as responsible as alhamdulillah, once again we are very lucky that we have good families and good parents, but sometimes the situation can be different, so they can have a negative impact on you, and she was asking if we can overcome that impact and if it's possible to sort of change later on. So what do you think? Once again, I shall put you on the spot.
Come back to me.
Okay. My mind. I just had it. My mind has gone blank. Sorry.
I think So she was saying that if your parents, are not that responsible, they can have a negative impact on you, right? What can we do, and is it possible to change later on? I think it is possible, because I think if your parents are not as responsible, if you have not received that love and affection, of course it is a test from Allah. And considering, viewing it under the light of Islam, I think Allah will give you courage. If there is a hardship, there will be ease at the end. And if you have been put in this situation where you're facing a troubled family or something like that, you are going to be able to sort of learn from it and move on. Although I think it can be very, very difficult in the situation, because if you think about it, you have been brought up in this constant, troubled family, and you haven't had that relationship with your parents. And of course, they are your first teachers. They are the people who you share everything with. Yeah. So you won't be as close to them. And of course, it does have an impact, because later on, as we were saying earlier, you're not going to be able to share many of your experiences, many of your struggles with them. So of course, it's very difficult. But I personally, for me, I think it is possible to, overcome it. Because I personally think that Allah is there, and He loves you more than 70 mothers. Yeah, so if your mother in this world is not, you don't have that bond with her, unfortunately, you have someone else who is going to support you. But what do you guys think?
I know someone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a family friend. So basically she had a child, but when you're small and you have that love and affection for the child, she didn't have much of that for her child. Alhamdulillah, they're really good now. They have that special bond, the best bond I've ever seen, mashallah. And how you're saying Allah does things for a reason. It's probably the outcome is probably better than the hardship you're going through. But basically, she didn't have that love for her child. She didn't like the fact, she's crying, just get her away from me. I just don't. Maybe there was a problem, or I don't know what it was, or maybe it was some personal experiences that she went through, like in her childhood. But I have seen it happen, and I do feel sorry for the child, because obviously it's like a small child. The child needs that affection to grow up, But alhamdulillah, Allah does everything for the best, and obviously there's a great wisdom behind whatever happens.
Exactly.
I think going back to the question, I think all of us, we all go through different experiences, and those different experiences make us and give us the knowledge about certain things. And I don't think in some extent age matters. I think it's the experiences in which an individual goes through which teaches them.
Definitely.
So because of that reason, I feel as though a child can also teach a parent about some things as well, especially when it comes down to things within contemporary Britain as well. I feel as though maybe a younger generation would feel it and have more experience, because they actually have gone through the whole experience and everything. And when it comes down to if there's issues which are arise behind that, I feel as though the child could also always teach the parent as well. And there's this mentality that it's always the parent teaching the child.
I think you raised a very vital point here, because of course our parents do have experience. They are obviously older than us. They've seen so much in the world, and whatever they do, of course we learn from them. But as you've said, it's really important that people understand that us as children, we can also it doesn't matter what the age is, you can always learn something from someone. And the fact that we go to in the modern world, we attend schools and colleges and universities, and there's so much going on, and there's so much that we learn ourselves as well. And having there's a generation gap, there's an age gap in the middle. So whilst they are teaching us the values and the traditions that we need to learn and that are essential for our survival, I think it's also possible that we can teach them something about what we've learnt, and in that way there's constant interaction going on between the two, which of course is really important for that strong bond. And Sister Aisha, what would you like to say?
I don't really know that much about this topic.
That's okay. I mean, I would like to say before you continue, that she is the youngest one here. In fact, I think we'll be joined by Sister Khadija later, but she's the second youngest, and mashallah, the way you conduct yourself and the way you raise your points are really, really good. So I think it's important to encourage our beautiful young Sister Aisha. But sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
I think that we're still talking about the impact, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that if you're younger and your parents haven't really given you that, full affection and stuff, when you grow up, if you surround yourself by other people, like people that have had better experiences and people that are nicer, and your personality isn't that good because your parents didn't really give you that much love, then your personality can change, because obviously the people around you, as your parents have an effect on you, other people can have effect on you as well. Because like last week we were talking about, company and how your friends can have effect on you. So the same thing can happen here, where your friends or anyone really, family, friends, can have effect on you and make you a better person. So your personality can kind of change, and
definitely,
that's all I really know.
And I think what I've understood is that whilst you have that bond with your parents, of course, when you go to school or college or university, you are gonna have other relations, whether that's with a teacher, whether that's just with your friends or whoever you meet. I think you do develop a relation with them. So if you are, as you've very rightly said, of course, if you are having a troubled relationship with your mum or dad, then perhaps sharing it with your friends, or perhaps but then I think again it comes down to true friends, which is a different topic that we cannot go into right now because we don't have enough time. But yeah, we hope that we answered your question, Sister Aisha. The next question is a sad question, I think. But it says that how different is life for people who do not have parents? Which is, of course, I think a very sad topic. But when I was writing down the questions, I thought that I couldn't miss it, because whilst we are lucky enough to have parents, who understand us, who love us, there are many who are suffering, and there are many who are missing out on this opportunity. So of course we should, talk about them and the way that they feel, because not only is it important to do that, but it will also encourage us and make us more grateful for what we have and how lucky we are. So what do you guys think?
I feel as though your parents were the main thing that you think of them to be is guidance, and the main things you learn through your first few stages of life, you could say, is primary socialization. You learn how all these things, you learn how to be within society. You learn basic things such as how to talk, walk, religion. You learn morals, you learn values. There's so much from which you learn in those first few years, and well within your whole life you learn so much. And I feel as though if you don't have those parents, it's kind of as if you're missing out on a guidance. You'll still be able to get the knowledge and everything, but you won't have that sense of guidance to guide you on the way to get that knowledge. And I think that's something we all take for granted. And it just having those parents there, it makes it easier for us as individuals as well, because it's like a shortcut. It's like giving you the guide, step-to-step guide of how to live your life and everything.
Exactly, I'd agree. And I think it just goes to show that of course we're really lucky that we have parents who are so affectionate towards us, and it just makes us more grateful for having them. And I think it's also important here to say that if you do know someone who doesn't have this amazing opportunity, or have this amazing bond or relationship in their life, it's important that you are perhaps more sympathetic towards them, or that's how I personally feel, at least. If I know someone who is struggling, I put an extra, of course you should put an effort with everyone, but I try extra hard with them, just because I feel like they've suffered so much. Of course you don't know their situation, but from yourself I think you can try your best. But yeah, Sister Noor?
I just first want to be grateful. Alhamdulillah, our parents are, amazing. They do everything for us. And I personally can't imagine my life without my parents, because linking back to her point, they are our guidance. They are the only people from when we're small. They're the only people who teach us what's right and wrong, morally and socially and everything. They teach us what's right and wrong. They teach us what to do and what not to do, the consequences of doing something bad. And I know of someone, her mum and dad split up, and she was put in care home. But she's an amazing person. She's my friend. She's an amazing person, but I feel like sometimes she doesn't have the guidance that's there for her. She doesn't have the affection that she needs, and it leads you to being really upset. It leads you to being lonely and frustrated and isolated. And I think you look out for help from other people a lot. You rely on other people, and you find it really hard to trust anyone else because, you know, you think my own parents have left me. Why would anyone else want, you know, even interact with me? And I think it's important to realize that everything happens for a reason. If you don't have parents, just think of the swab you're getting for the sabr that you're doing right now, and Allah knows your hardship, He knows your pain. And for those people out there that, you know, are in foster care or their parents have passed away, I think it's really important to realize that the reward that they're going to get is bigger than the hardship they have faced.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's a very sad topic, and you know, it brings a tear every time we think about it. But of course, people who do not have parents, as I was saying earlier, we should make an extra effort with them. And I think for them, if anyone is watching, I mean, I hope that everyone's parents, you know, Allah Ta'ala sabko salamat rakhe. Lekin if someone is watching, then it's important for you to also know that, you know, of course, there is a reason behind what's happened, and Allah is the best of planners. Whatever He has designed for you, whatever He has written in your faith is better for you. So whilst at the moment it does seem very hard and very difficult to get through this, He will give you the courage, and just stay strong, and inshallah, sab theek ho jayega. Sister Aisha, what would you like to say?
I think that it's very hard to have the same bond and love you would have had for your parents if they were with you, with anyone else. It's very hard because, like Sister Noor said, that it's very hard to trust people if you don't have your own parents, because your parents always guide you and stuff. But I think what they should do is obviously turn to the next person that's closest to them and who they know is the right person. And then you can get through the hard times, and just make them like a mother figure.
Definitely,
And make sure it's someone you can trust and who's been very nice to you. Like, you know, a lot of people that haven't got their parents for some reason, they'll have like in care home, they'll have other people around them. They'll have either an auntie or an uncle looking after them as well, or something, or a sister or brother. You should just turn to the next person who's closest to you, and then everything will turn out fine. But it is quite hard for someone to not have your parents around you, because it is very hard to trust people.
Definitely. Before we continue, I think we shall go on a very short break, so please stay tuned with us. We will catch you very shortly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
2018.
The voice of British Muslims.
European University of Business now offering BA Business Management, MBA with specialisation. Our courses are regulated by UK Quality Assurance Agency and taught in a highly professional environment. Special offer for Ramadan FM 2018 listeners only. Please call on 0203 288 3143. Email info@universityofbusiness.eu.
Solicitors in. You can expect a variety of services from us, ranging from family law, immigration, human rights, money claims, personal injury, and many more. We are committed to providing you with the best legal advice suited to your individual circumstances. Drop us a call on 0203 500 8000. Our office is located at 62 Barking Road, East Ham, E6 3BP.
Why spend summer in your room when you can fly off to your dream destination with facilities like car hire and hotel bookings? Well, Flight Masters have got you covered. We offer holiday packages, city breaks and flights at the most reasonable prices with the best provision of services. So why delay? Call us today on 0203 598 9938 or visit our website at www.flightmasters.com.
Do you dream of travelling to those blessed lands where the beloved of Allah was born? Does your heart yearn for Medina, the city of the beloved? If it is your time to experience a spiritual journey words cannot justify, then join us at Sam Travel and Tours and book your Hajj and Umrah packages today. We offer group and tailor-made packages for all your requirements. Based on Rumford Road in London, for our last 10 days Umrah package, please call us on 0208 478 8911.
Ramadan FM 2018.
The voice of British Muslims.
MR Accountants provide a full range of accountancy and taxation services, including annual and management accounts, self-assessment, tax returns, VAT, bookkeeping and payroll services to all different types of businesses. With our in-house chartered accountants, you can be guaranteed to save money. Contact us now on 0203 432 9138.
कितनी बार कहा है कि घर को साफ रखा करो, मैं तो थक गई हूँ सफाई कर करके।
उफ, ये कॉकरोच, चूहे, कीड़े मकोड़े घर में घुस आए हैं। कहाँ जाऊँ, किसको बुलाऊं?
माँ, बहन, बीवी और बच्चे, किसी को भी इंसेक्ट्स नहीं लगते हैं ये अच्छे। So don't worry, I'll call City Pest Control. Deal with cockroaches, mice, rats, bed bugs, fleas, flies, all types of insects and rodents. 0203 633 0080 or 0770 279 8808. www.cpestc.com. City Pest Control, large enough to cope, small enough to care. All our technicians are British Pest Control Association qualified and we are regulated by the Royal Society of Public Health.
This Ramadan, visit Al Akbar's for all your meat and poultry needs. We buy only the highest quality meat and are HMC registered. We've got some amazing offers on all our products this Ramadan and we provide free local delivery for all our customers. We also cater for restaurants and large events, so no matter how big or small your order is, Al Akbar's is the name to remember. Visit us now at 51 to 53 Upton Lane, Forest Gate, E7 9PA or call us at 0208 472 5742. Al Akbar's, the name to remember.
Yo, bro! Cuzzy's getting married and I need to get hold of a car. Yar, I know some boys who know SPM car hire. They got the best cars in town. Rolls Royces, Ranges, Maseratis, Aston Martins. Cause you name it, they got it with the best prices in town. Sorted! Looks like I'm going to this wedding in a Range then. They'll drop off the car and pick you up once you're done. Just give them a ring on 01798 397 916 or visit them online spmhire.com or find them on Instagram.
Looking for me and
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. You are tuned back into Students of Knowledge and our studio number is displayed on your screen, so if you would like to call in then please do. We have been joined by a very special guest, Sister Khadija. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you for coming in today. And we have been discussing the topic of parents. So without asking you any specific questions, what would you like to say on the importance of parents and their significance?
Everyone's been talking about their mother, so I would like to say that my dad, he
if you could speak a little bit louder, sister.
He takes me everywhere and he does everything with me and he helps with my work as well.
MashaAllah.
And it really is benefiting me.
Yeah, definitely. And your dad is watching right now and I'm sure that he's very proud of you as well. I think Sister Khadija, you're 9 years old, right? And mashallah, she comes to every event, she attends everything, and I think that is the result, as we were discussing earlier, of her dad's hard work and efforts. So you know, congratulations. And mashallah, you're very lucky that you have a very lovable father. And the next question, before I continue, I know that Sister Noor wanted to say something. So before I ask the next question, Sister Noor, you can.
You asked the importance of parents in Islam, and I just have a hadith to
Please do
it.
share.
It was narrated by Ibn Masud. A man asked the Prophet, peace be upon him, what deeds are the best? And the Prophet ﷺ said to perform the daily fard prayers, so the compulsory prayers, at their fixed times, and to be good and dutiful to one's own parents. Prayer is really important in Islam. It's fard, and it's one of the first things we're taught as a kid. And the fact that you know, Allah teaches us, and He relates prayer, and He right next to prayer He puts being respectful to your parents. I think that's really beautiful because it shows how parents have such a high status in Islam, and I think we should learn from this and, you know, respect them and be grateful of them.
Definitely. I think you've mentioned a beautiful hadith and you made very good analysis out of it as well. The fact that the way Allah, He has beautifully mentioned the importance of prayer, and we all know that how significant or how valuable that is in Islam. And right after, He has mentioned the importance of parents. So that, of course, again goes to show that it's obligatory upon every individual, regardless of what situation you're in, to, of course, respect your parents and, of course, love them as well. Sister Khadija?
I also wanted to share her hadith, and it was the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Fatima radiallahu anha. He said that you need to be cautious of Allah. I have no doubt that I will have no authority over over anything on your behalf on the Day of Judgment in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I feel as though this was this hadith really touched me, because it just shows how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to teach his daughter responsibility. And I think that's one of the main things that that every parent should try and teach their children about responsibility. But also one thing that I really picked up upon was how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he mentioned his daughter's name, he mentioned it by saying Fatima, daughter of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you just see the love, and you see how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wants to show this connection. But also on top of that, it shows the impact of the actual hadith, and how he's saying that even though you are my daughter, on the Day of Judgment, I can't do anything about it, because you're going to have to
you'd be accountable,
accountable for everything, and you're going to be there talking in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I think this is a beautiful hadith to show responsibility that a parent should teach a child. And
definitely, that is a very beautiful hadith, and thank you very much for sharing it. We are running out of time, so Sister Aisha, what would you like to say on the importance of parents?
I just think that the importance of parents is you need them to help guide you through life. They always tell you what's right, because you won't really listen to anyone as much as you will listen to your parents.
Yeah, of course.
If they have a very close bond to you, because you obviously, they gave birth to you, so you're obviously going to trust that person, aren't you? So yeah, I think the importance of parents is they give you guidance, they help you get through life properly, and you always have someone to turn to you when you're in a troubled situation.
Definitely.
And it's really nice how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows the importance of parents
in a very beautiful manner,
mashallah. The first thing you learn in Islam is about namaz and the 5 prayers and everything, and right next to that it's about parents, which is really nice. And it just shows you that you should really cherish your parents.
Exactly. I'd agree as well. I think we're very lucky and blessed, as we've said many times in this show, but I think after doing this show and whilst preparing for it as well, we've all become that much little more grateful for what we have. And we are running out of time. Brother Usman is telling me to end the show. But the last thing I would like to say is very personal. But what would you guys like to say to your parents if they are watching? And I'm sure they are. So what message would you like to give to them? If you could make it very quick.
I love how everyone just looks at me. Quickly, I'm just going to say I'm very grateful. I know my mum's watching right now, and I love you, Mum. And thank you for everything. I think we're all really grateful about, what our parents have done for us. Not only they provide for us, they teach us what's right and wrong. They make everything 1,000 times better in our life.
That's very sweet and a very cute message. So thank you for that, Sister Noor. Sister Khadija, what would you like to say to your parents?
I would like to say to my dad and my mum, thank you for all you've done for me, and I love you.
That's very sweet. Yeah?
And I'll do anything for you.
I mean, I think that's what they like to hear, that we can do anything. When we've said that, that means we really do love them. So thank you for that, Sister Khadija. Sister Aisha, what would you like to say to your parents?
I just like to say that I love them so much. They help me get through everything. I don't even mind when they shout at me, because it just shows me the right thing to do.
Permission.
I'm not giving permission all the time though. I'd also like to say that I'm just so grateful that they get nothing in return, but they still bother to give us care and help us grow up for nothing in return, absolutely, and they still love us so much, and they haven't left us on the side in the road.
And Sister Khadija?
Yeah, I think we're all like really grateful for what we do have, and we always should. And I think we always should look at what we do have instead of what we don't. I'm really grateful for everything that my parents have done for me, because everything, no matter how insignificant, it has shaped me as a person, and it has shaped me for the person who I am today. So
definitely, yeah. And to end it, I would also like to give a message to my parents that they worked very hard. Whoever I am today, whatever I am, is the result of their hard work and their mehnat. So thank you, Ammi and Abu, for all your hard work. And of course, I love you very much. And Allah Ta'ala आप दोनों को सलामत रखे, and Allah Ta'ala सबके माँ बाप को सलामत रखे. We have run out of time. In fact, we have gone over time. So thank you very much for tuning in to Ramadan FM 2018. Our class fellows will be doing shows from Monday to Thursday next week as well. So please, from 4 to 5. So please tune in. And the same students you'll see again next week, Thursday. And inshallah, I'll catch you then. Until then, remember us in your du'as. And may Allah Ta'ala bless you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.